Good, good. So Solomon, yeah, and we met,
Yeah,
so just a brief introduction. We just met through the Mongol Rally Facebook group.
yeah, I
'Cause
remember.
you've done the Mongol Rally before. But yeah, so, okay, expand upon the coronavirus thing that's happening in Russia. You're in Moscow right now, is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, in Moscow.
Okay, so yeah, what's going on in Russia in terms of the pandemic?
Well, right now everyone behaves as like coronavirus never happened.
Okay.
So there are still signs that you cannot enter cafes and shops without wearing your mask and gloves, but no one cares actually. I mean, they have the signs, and if you come without your mask, they just serve as you came with it. So they just don't care. No one cares.
Okay.
Uh, and well, what data says is that the average amount of people getting sick is declining. But well, you could not believe this data before, so you cannot believe it right now because, well, they in the beginning they said that like there is no coronavirus in Russia. Then suddenly, all the hospitals became like overfilled with people who
Mhm.
got corona. Then they said like we have an emergency situation, and after that, well, I mean, no one can say exactly what's happening. Uh, so yeah, but now people behave as they like as Quran never happened. They go to, but most of big like the big companies they close their offices till like winter.
Mhm.
Well, and I know that Facebook and Google did the same.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes, so people work from home mostly.
Right.
But we have really small company of like 3 people. So our office was open during the pandemic days and still open.
Okay. Well, so did anybody at your office get sick or anything?
Oh no, no.
Okay.
I mean, I think I know a couple of people who got sick and recovered well.
Uh-huh.
Well, and well, mostly adults, like everywhere else.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's about the same everywhere. I don't understand the numbers that are coming in from the US either. And I know, there's been some controversy over whether we are actually calculating them correctly now or not,
Mm-hmm.
or whether we've
Sure.
just decided, oh, let's not test that as
Yeah,
many
and you
people.
and you had this protest that uh all everything became too messed up, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. So the state of the US is very strange right now. But let's talk more about Russia. I would rather talk about that, to be fair, than what's happening in the
Yeah,
US.
sure.
But okay, so first of all, let's talk about if I was in Russia, what would we go and do? And look, Russia is humongous, so you can do like a day in Moscow, and then maybe if there's like another place outside of Moscow that you really love in Russia, tell me about that too.
Well, I've been to a lot of places in Russia. Like I traveled all over Russia, I'd say. But what people mostly do, like tourists, average tourist who comes to Russia like for a week or something, they spend a couple of days in Moscow and then they go to St. Petersburg, which is like, I mean, I'd say like the most European city because it was built like as they say, Peter the First built. He cut the window to Europe, as they say.
Mm.
So he was everywhere in Europe, and then he decided to build a European city in Russia. So yeah, people go there. It's very beautiful, and then they leave. That's what I know from people who I know, like from the US and UK. They come to these two cities, which is a huge mistake because well, Russia is huge, and you never know Russia if you just come to Moscow or St. Petersburg
Sure.
because
Yeah.
it's absolutely different. Like if you go to the east, and you can like the flight from Moscow to Kamchatka, which is like the easternest part of Russia,
Mhm.
takes 9 hours.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. So and you fly, like, and you only fly above one country, right?
Oh
And
my gosh.
it's actually the route is shorter if you go through northern pole, like if you go to the US from Moscow, you fly over the northern ocean, right? So
Mhm.
if you go to Kamchatka, you do the same,
Okay.
different, a little bit different direction, and it's like it's closer to the US from Kamchatka than to Moscow.
Okay. Well, so what's there to do in Kamchatka? Kamchatka?
Kamchatka, yeah, it's a
Okay.
peninsula. It's a volcanic peninsula close to Japan. You can hike there a lot, but it is a very remote and wild area. You don't have any like uh, hiking tracks or routes or
Okay.
like trails that they have in New Zealand or the US. It's like absolutely wild. You have to cut your own way through the bushes, and you have a lot of bears there and volcanoes, which are like real volcanoes, not the Yellowstone one, right? Which is like sitting there doing nothing. These are volcanoes that are erupting from time to time. You get earthquakes pretty often, and yeah, I've been there 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
It's yeah, it's great place to like go into the wild, but you have to be prepared enough.
So
And
you fly in there and then you
oh
have
yeah,
like, all your camping gear and stuff. Are
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah, yeah.
flying into like a town or a city though?
Yeah, there is a city. Yeah,
Okay.
there is a
Yeah,
city.
yeah.
Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, it's called. It's 200,000 citizens declining every year because it's really harsh environment to live in.
Okay.
And you know what? You cannot get there any other ways but flight or ship from Vladivostok. There is no railroad. There is no roads, so you cannot like drive there because there is no
Interesting.
roads. It's
Okay.
like an island, and they actually call it they say that if you're gonna go somewhere else in Russia, they say we're gonna go to the mainland because where
Okay.
they live, it's like absolutely remote place. Uh, and what else? Like Kamchatka, I love the most. I would say it's one
Okay.
of the most beautiful places in Russia I've been to, and it's. Do you know about Iceland? I bet you
Iceland.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, Kamchatka is pretty much like Iceland,
Okay.
but uh, but wild,
Okay.
without roads, without people, without like millions of tourists with their photo gear. Right? It's like
Yeah.
this is the place to survive.
Interesting. I am really interested in that. I want to go there for sure.
Oh yeah, sure.
So is
You
that,
have to.
I guess when I think of, now again, this is like my ignorance because I've never been to Russia or, again, it's so massive that it's hard to think about it in, I don't know what word I'm trying to use. It's just hard to think about it as a whole because it's so massive.
Yeah, even
But
even
is
for
it,
people who live here.
yeah, is
Yeah.
that so I always think of like the easternmost as Siberia.
Well, it's Siberia first, then we call it uh, Дальний Восток, which is like uh, far east.
Mm.
So Siberia is like the central part of Russia.
Oh, okay.
Then we
Okay.
have the far east, far east. That's what it's called.
I got
Uh,
Okay, so let me tell you the story from my high school days. I had this teacher, he was my favorite teacher, a sociology teacher and psychology maybe, but he
mhm.
would, if you got in trouble, then he would send you to Siberia, which was just like out in the hallway, and you had to go out in the hallway and be in timeout, you know what
Cool.
I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
But that was always this thing, I send you to Siberia, where like it's
yeah.
desolate, nobody lives there, whatever.
In Russia, the farthest desks from the teacher are called Kamchatka. Like people
Oh,
who,
really?
yeah, who study really bad, they sit on Kamchatka because you can hide stuff.
That's really funny that you call it that. So it's basically
Yeah,
the same. We have a similar
yeah, yeah.
system.
You
Just
have it in the hallway, but we have it like the farthest desk.
that's really funny. Okay. Have you so you cannot drive there. Do you have a
No.
car? Do you do a lot of road tripping?
Oh, well, in Russia, no, I wouldn't say so
Okay.
because it takes you ages to get anywhere with a car. Like if you want to go to I don't know, to Siberia, you'll have to drive 3 days, I guess. So
Right.
it's actually cheaper to fly in there and then walk around the place you are interested in.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so yeah, but I did some road tripping in Russia. Like I went to St. Pete's, I went to uh, well, during Mongol Rally, we drove around Altai, which is southern part of Siberia. But well, it's not well. People do road tripping by cars in Russia, but it's not as popular as in the U.S.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you mentioned the rally. Let's go ahead and talk about that too.
Yeah, cool.
When did you do the rally? What year did you do the rally? What was your team
Last year, we went last year. It was three of us. We bought this super old Lada. Uh, you know Lada, right?
like? Yeah.
Quite famous car for a rally because you can actually fix it anywhere because it was like Soviet car.
Okay.
And yeah, we went last year from Prague to Ulan-Ude. We did it in 54 days. And I think it was only 4 days we slept under the roof, so we stayed mostly in a tent.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
What was your best travel story, your favorite travel story from your Mongol rally?
Oh yeah. Well, I have one. I have a lot of them. Like every day you have a story to tell. As they say on the website, what you get for this, they say what you get for this participation fee. They say you get T-shirt, couple of stickers, and tons of stories to tell your kids. So yeah, you actually get a lot of stories. But one of my favorite is when we got stuck in Mongolia in a river. We wanted to cross the river. There was a river cross on a map, but well, in Mongolia you cannot, like, the last thing you can rely on in Mongolia is your map. So we came to this river cross, and we realized that, like, it's just a river, and we can cross it. We've crossed a lot of rivers before, and we just started to drive through, and we just got stuck in the middle of this river. And Lada it's not like a Land Cruiser or Pathfinder. It's like little small car with little holes. So you don't actually get, like, if you are in the river gets in the car. So, and I remember trying to, like, push the gas pedal, and I realized that my right foot is like completely underwater already. So I started to drown. And so it ended up with these two shepherds who came with their horses, and they tried to pull the car. Like, this guy, he was in front of me, and he had this rope, and
Mhm.
he decided just to give me this rope and try to pull the car with his horse, which is like impossible, of course, but he, like, thought it's the cleverest idea to do. And I was still drowning and I was shouting, but they don't understand either Russian or English, so they just speak
Okay.
only Mongolian or whatever. And well, finally we managed to tell them what to do. They helped us to push the car, and we pushed it, and we realized that we appeared on the island in the middle of this huge river. So so we actually crossed only one part of this river.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
we were on the island, uh, and then what we started deassembling the car because everything inside was wet, completely wet, and we just unscrewed all this stuff in the car. Then we dried it out, well, the best we could. Then we assembled it again, and we realized that, like, we didn't want to spend this night on the island because Mongolian rivers are, unpredictable. If somewhere in the mountains it's like raining during the night, then we can just appear underwater during the day. It's like, well, very unpredictable conditions. So we decided we have to, like, escape. And what we did, we drowned again in another part of this river once again. So it took us, like, I don't know, 20 hours to cross this river.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And you don't have cell phone coverage, you don't have anything. And most teams, they went southern route, so they didn't go through the northern part of Mongolia, which is, well, you don't have roads in Mongolia. Like, you have two roads, and they all start, like, little bit to the east from where you enter Mongolia. So we went through northern route, and we were the only team this year who did northern route.
Okay.
Yeah, and you don't have roads there. And well, just luckily we found was, I don't know if you know the car,
Uh-uh.
like four-wheeler, Russian four-wheeler,
Oh, okay.
and
Okay.
and they helped us to pull the car out of the second river. We deassembled it again, tried it out again, then assembled it again. And next day we crossed, well, just little stream, what was left of this river, and went forward. That was super funny.
20 hours pushing your car through water, though.
Sort of, maybe even more.
Oh my God, that sounds so
I have
Were
I have
you
a
guys
nice pic.
exhausted?
Oh yeah, yeah. We were very tired. It was pretty cold at night,
Mm.
and everything was wet, like everything.
Jeez. I wanted to talk about stereotypes because I think part of traveling and doing something like the Mongol Rally is you get experience with all these different cultures that you
Sure.
only had ideas of in your
Yeah,
mind.
yeah, sure, sure.
Mm.
You know what? Why don't you tell me stereotypes you've heard, and I would come back with like answers.
You're like, and that's dumb, and that's dumb.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah.
I think the two that pop up in my head, and this is again, it's not really a stereotype that I have because I understand that people are very different than their governments, but I think Russia gets sort of lumped into this, Putin dictatorship sort of gnarly political structure. And so a lot of people tend to be nervous about Russia. Um, and that goes over onto just the regular everyday citizens too. So if you're
You
from
mean
Russia,
nervous,
I don't know, maybe like
like
mobsters or
what do you mean? What do you mean nervous? Like Cold War time nervous? Like we gonna launch our nukes at you?
no, no, like um, well, that you don't know if you can believe them. So like you're talking about data.
Politicians, surely you don't.
Yeah,
Like
right,
you
you're
never
right,
believe them, but it
right.
doesn't depend on the country, right?
Yeah,
You
it's
can't believe
totally true.
politicians at all. So
Totally true. Yeah.
anywhere.
But that's what I'm saying. So I think like the politicians who you hear about scandals in politics, that sometimes that narrative, the regular everyday citizens of Russia or name a country get lumped into that as well.
Oh yeah,
So
sure.
are
Yeah.
seen as like bad or whatnot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's like like saying that all the Americans are like Trump and want to ban TikTok, right? That's not true.
Yeah.
And
Right.
same here. So, well, you have to like put it separately. People living here and politics happening here. Politics is fucked up for sure because, well, Putin is a former KGB agent and he behaved like like Russia is a huge KGB whatever,
Mm.
and like that's what he is, and it's for sure it's authoritarian regime here. He's been in power for the last 20 years,
Right.
which is weird, which is a lot for a democratic country, right?
Mm.
And all the elections, right? I don't know if you know about it, but uh, he's been the president for 2 terms. Then they switched with prime minister, which was
Right.
completely fake. Then he became president for another 2 terms, and his last term ends by the end of ends somewhere in 2024. So right now they rewrote the constitution, so he has uh, he has a chance to be elected once again, which
Mm.
is so they had to rewrite the constitution to do
I
that.
see.
And
Right.
yeah, and we had this polling all around Russia. Do you guys want to rewrite constitution? And well, people who work for government, like military or hospitals or teachers, they had to vote for it because well, otherwise they would lose their jobs.
Right.
So this is fucked up, yeah, for sure.
Mm.
But at the same time, we have huge protests in Khabarovsk, which is far east, and they are protesting for the first time during the last 20 years. Maybe it's like the biggest protests this region has ever seen
When did
in
this
Russia.
happen?
They started to protest 40 days ago, and
Okay.
they still protesting. And they're
Wow.
protesting because their governor was accused in some murder happened 13 years ago, which is, well, strange because if something happened 13 years ago, you actually started investigation 13 years ago, not like today, right?
Right. Right.
So, well, because this governor was very anti-regime, not very, he was like a little bit anti-Putin guy.
Hmm.
he's now in jail. So all the internal politics happening here is, well, the same, I'd say, that as in the US.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but people living here mostly have nothing to do with that.
Okay.
And well,
Right.
it's the biggest mistake to associate people living in country with the regime in this country. For example, going through Kyrgyzstan or Tajikistan or Kazakhstan, you meet like the most pleasant people ever, but regime there is like super authoritarian. I know one other stereotype that I've heard,
Hmm.
that it is dangerous for the US citizens to come to Russia
Okay.
because they are considered as spies or enemies or whatever. But it is bullshit. I have a lot of friends from the US, both who were born and raised in the US and people who immigrated and came back,
Hmm.
and it's absolutely safe. Well, Russia is pretty safe country comparing to the US. In the US, every guy, like most of the guys, they have a right to have a gun, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
when I've been hitchhiking in the US for 5 weeks, and every time I hopped on a trailer or car, just average car, I had this thought on the back of my mind that this guy can possibly carry a gun, and if he doesn't like me, he'll just shoot me and say that I violated his private property, right?
Right.
In
Right. Right.
Russia, no, like in Russia, bad guys, they have a gun for sure, but you never have like gun shootings out in the streets.
I see.
Like, yeah, I know that in New York it happens like every day. People get shot, right?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
think
true?
there's lots of
I mean,
shootings in the
yeah,
US
I
just
know.
generally because a lot of people have guns. And so
Hmm.
if you have guns, then people are gonna get angry with each other and shoot guns.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's not ideal. I mean, that's like a whole nother controversy, gun rights versus not gun rights.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
But
But
it,
what I wanted to say that like Russia is super safe for traveling. And if you are American citizen and you come to Novosibirsk, Krasnoyarsk, Kamchatka, whatever, you are treated as a guest. Like this is famous Russian hospitality.
Mhm.
You are treated as a guest, and actually, you are treated much better if you don't speak Russian.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I also want to talk to you about, you said you hitchhiked around the US for 5 weeks.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Okay, so tell me about this whole experience because that
I
sounds
love it. Yeah, I love to talk about it. It happened 5 years ago.
okay.
Yeah, exactly 5 years. I think
So,
this. Yeah, I've been. Is it Labor Day today?
oh, Labor Day is Monday. Monday, yeah.
Monday. Yeah, I've been in Yellowstone in
Okay.
Labor Day. That's what I remember. So yeah, I came to New York. I got tickets from Moscow to New York and from Las Vegas to Moscow. So this is, and those were like 5 weeks apart from each other. And I just came there, and I learned about Craigslist and found this guy who was driving to the west from New York. I didn't know where he was going, and my
Okay.
major plan was to visit these national parks of beautiful national parks. I didn't want to stick in the cities. I wanted to like go as far in bushes as possible. So yeah, and I just hopped on his car. His name was what was his name? Richard? Roger. No, his name was Roger.
Okay.
And he was driving this super old Toyota to the west somewhere. And we drove for 4 days with him. And then he got sick of me, I guess. He just said, I want to go south. So sorry, I'm turning to south. And I wanted to travel a little bit by myself. So, well, you wanted to hitchhike, there you go. and I and, and I think it was in South Dakota. Yeah, and that was the first time in my life when I had this huge sign, Yellowstone, on cardboard, stolen from, not stolen, I just took it from some gas station or whatever. And I started to hitchhike, and well, a lot happened to me. You want to hear some funny
Yes,
stories?
definitely.
well,
Yes.
well, the first guy who picked me up, he was drunkard on a huge Audi Q7, like brand new limo, and he stopped where I was hitchhiking. He went out of the car, asked if I have a license with me, and asked me to drive. So I was like 20, I was 24 at the time, and he saw me for the first like time in my life, and he said, do you know how to drive?" And I said, "Yeah." And I was on the driver's seat of this car, which costs, I don't know, like $1 million, maybe like half of that, like a lot. It had like huge black limo, and I started to drive. That was super fun. And then he reached back for the bottle of rum, and he just drank it from the bottle, like only after that he said what was his name. and, and I was driving for the rest of the day, like 10 hours to Yellowstone, and he was drinking all the time. And by the time we entered Yellowstone, he was like completely numb. He was out. He was like he couldn't even talk. And,
God.
yeah, and we came to this campground. I paid for a campground, and I left him in the car, um, dropped my tent, and I slept in the tent. And in the morning, I woke him up, and he was like, "Yeah, I remember you." And then he said that he gonna get some liquor. He sat behind the wheel and just drove away. And that was the last time I saw him.
In the hell? That is so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, but and I think it can happen only in the US. Like,
You can have only, yeah,
yeah,
fair.
yeah, because no one would ever give you brand new super expensive car, especially if you are like weird Russian random guy standing on the shoulder of the road, right?
Hitchhiking. Yeah. What? Oh my God. Do you remember his
Yeah.
name? What was his name?
Yes, his name was uh, not Bill. Maybe Bill. I have his picture, and I have like I have a website I created about this journey. It's in
Mhm.
Russia though, but in Russian though, but let me I can find it right now if you want to me to.
What a weird thing. I want to know where this guy is today.
Yeah, yeah. What I know about him, what he told me before he got drunk, is that um, he was he was driving to Montana, but he was originally from Minnesota. He was working as a like private tour guy, so that's why he has his like fancy car
Hmm.
to drive these Chinese tourists around. And but he like had his days off, so he took this car and went to Montana because he wanted to get to Montana because he found this nice, beautiful lady in Tinder, and he wanted to pay her a visit. And he drove all the way to Montana. And after that, like I was already in Seattle, I guess, and I got a message from him that he came to that place, and at the same time, she just stopped answering him. So, so he made this journey just and got nothing out of it.
I mean, if he
Let,
was texting while he was so drunk, he probably was being an asshole, though.
oh yeah, for sure, no doubts, he was an asshole. Get ready.
That is honestly not what I expected, but there he is.
Yeah, it's on the way to Yellowstone.
Interesting. So after in the morning, he just drove off. He
Yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah. He didn't even say bye.
oh my God.
He said
That's
that he
so
has to get some
ridiculous.
liquor, and he just went away.
So ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Yeah,
that honestly, that does sound like something that could only happen in the US.
yeah, sure.
Uh,
Once, well, another guy was uh, from some town out of Seattle. I don't remember the name, and he picked me up in Seattle. Also, I found him on Craigslist, and we drove through Oregon. We went to the northern part of California, and he he was a weed grower,
mm,
so
mm.
he had his plantation somewhere in Highlands. Is that how you call it? Like this desert in the northern part of California,
Okay.
very hot. Like
All right.
so, well, we went like side road to his property, which he bought with like huge sign, private property, at
Mhm.
the entrance. And we went there, and he had like a, I don't know how to call it, like not a house, like a barn, but really small barn with
Mhm.
all the stuff, and a lot of weed growing around. And yeah, I forgot to mention that he had his leg broken in like 10 places because he was riding motorbike before. So he wanted me to drive him. Oh, again, but this was not limo. It was like very old Toyota four-wheeler, whatever, red one. I can show you as well.
So, okay, so on Craigslist, people were just like, "Hey, can you drive me to this place?" Because,
Yeah, yeah, because I
oh,
can't drive, or because I want to drink
okay,
all the
okay.
way. Here's his car. Yeah, he took me to Red Bluff.
Red
Uh,
Bluff.
here's his truck. His
Okay.
name was Tim. Look at him.
Yeah, he looks like he
Yeah.
knows me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And he was very proud of his weed. Uh,
Interesting.
yeah. And the day after, he drove me back to the highway, and I got nearly arrested by your. Yeah, this is the place I slept in, like this little barn.
Okay.
I slept in it, right between a chainsaw and some stuff to grow weed. I don't know what was that. And yeah, here, look at this. This is the like the marks of handcuffs, because
Okay.
what uh, I apparently it's not allowed uh, to hitchhike on highways. I didn't know that, but the
I
guy who
didn't
gave
actually
me a
know that
ride,
either.
yeah, in California at least.
Okay.
So the guy who picked me up, he just dropped me on shoulder of the road when, well, there are two roads. He had to go south, and I wanted to get to San Francisco,
Mhm.
and I hitchhiked there. And like the first car which stopped was a cop car, and there was this lady with her hand on her taser, uh, like uh, telling me to put off my backpack and put off my glasses and turn around and put my hands behind my head. So that was mm, well, I'd say I wasn't scared, but I realized that it would be fun story to tell if it
Yeah.
ends well.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Of
yeah.
course.
And she drove me away from the highway. She didn't give me a fine though, because like, as she said, because I was white and clean.
Okay. Great. Great.
Well,
Wonderful.
on one hand, yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful.
America, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, but she handcuffed you.
Oh yeah, she said no free rides, gentlemen.
Handcuffed you, put you in the back of the car, drove you
Yeah,
to another place, took you out.
yeah, yeah. There was another cop who came to put my backpack in her boot, because apparently she's not allowed to do something when she has a suspect. Like, uh, it's like if
Yeah.
if she like started to do something with my backpack, I could probably, I don't know, stab her or whatever. So that's why another cop came to help
Okay.
her with my backpack.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, geez. So we're getting close to the end. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to me about both Russia and your crazy travel experiences. Um, are you gonna go on the Mongol Rally again?
Mm, I don't know, because like it sounds, it is a great experience. I loved it. I would say it's like the best journey in my life,
Mhm.
because it's super weird, strange, and funny. But once again, I don't think so. I
Yeah.
would rather take this car and go to the US with it, for example. That would be funny, because you don't have spare parts for Soviet cars. Bless you.
Um, yeah. How would you would just ship it over here and then drive it
I
around?
don't know. It would probably cost me an arm and a leg. It
Yeah.
it it would be very expensive. I don't know. That is just a plan. Yeah. But
It
well,
would be.
Mongol Rally once again, I don't think so, because well, I've already done it, right?
Right.
So why don't going some other way, like to Africa, for example, or
Yeah.
I don't know, India? or
I think
whatever.
doing Africa in a car, the whole continent of Africa, or even just the southern tip of Africa would be really quite cool.
Southern is
Yeah,
safe. Yeah, I've been to South Africa once.
yeah,
It's
me as well.
safer than being somewhere in the center of the continent because,
Okay.
well, you can get killed there.
Mm,
That is, well, you cannot say it's about any place on during Mongol Rally. All the places you drive through are more or less safe. Even Iran and Turkmenistan, those are like super regime place, right?
yeah,
But it's safe there.
interesting. Okay, well, yeah, thanks so much again for chatting, and I hope that we get to meet someday soon in Russia.
Yeah, or in the US.
In the US too, yeah. If you come to the US, please
Yeah,
let me know. And
yeah,
otherwise, then
sure.
I'll see you hopefully next year if all of this coronavirus stuff clears up when I'm on the rally.
Oh, are you going to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, take this couch with you.
Take what couch?
The one you
Oh, this
the
couch.
one you are sitting
You
on.
know,
Yeah.
I've actually like thought about that. I was like, how can I get this couch? If I cut up this couch, I could probably, fashion some kind of couch car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just put it on your roof rack.
Put it on my roof. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great idea. I'm taking that idea.
Okay, yeah. Anytime you somewhere close to Russia, just give me a message to text me.
Okay.
I'll show you around. Okay.
All right. Great. Thank you so
Cool.
much, Solomon. I'll see
Yeah,
you
and
soon.
you're doing great things.